All right. Listen, I'm half awake, and I want to try to say a dream. So this is gonna sound like rambling because I'm trying to remember it. Um, the dream was a society. I lived in a dystopian society. I thought that basically everyone lived in the guts of the underground of the world. Like the world was covered. Like even the oceans were covered by one city. The world was one big city, and like I slept on top of pipes that were up above a walkway on a blanket, and other people slept up there too. But that was my house. Like there was nothing unusual about sleeping, and there's people walking below you, and then you go work for like 18 hours or something like that, and then you sleep, and then you go back work, and that's just what life is. And but part of this was I'd get even less sleep, so I could go get some coffee. And so say you have something like I found like a set of glasses or whatever. I record that I found it, where I found it, and then I go to the coffee shop and you say like I'd like some coffee. And there, what do you got? I got these glasses, and they're like, okay, I accept. And then you go like that with just the information that you did that. And you could store things on there, store information. Like so, you'd have like a collection of things to trade, and some of them might be ideas, or I have a map that has an X on it, that kind of thing. And so everyone's bartering because not everybody wants glasses or a wrench for a cup of coffee, and except for I go to my person, and I say hey Janet, how about a cup of the Black Joe, and she just starts spouting off crazy stuff, and I realize she's fucked up, and she's on hardcore drugs. She's on the skooma, and I realize that not only has she's like been deteriorating over years, and her skin's kind of gray and dirty, and her eyes look like insane. And I realize she's not even serving coffee, and I realize that this has been like one of the only bright spots in my life, like getting coffee before I go to my awful job, and getting it from Janet. And Janet had become like the person if that I talked to outside of work, and that was it. Other than that, it was sleep. Being in a factory or getting my cup of coffee. So before I go to work, I put a message on like a medical reader board, and I have a friend that suffering, and I wrote all the information. I'm like, what is the solution? And then I go to work, do my 18 hours, come home to sleep, and instead of right as I get home, there's two people waiting for me, and they say, Earl, we've been waiting for you. We've sent you a solution. The three of us all have the exact same problem, and I think with the three of us going, we could do this. And I'm like, I didn't realize you responded. And they're like, check your thing. And so I'm following them. I check my thing, and they're like, there's all this medical information about how there's no coming back from the drug that she has got hooked on. It's 100% death rate, and except for there is a legal technology. Oh, everyone has these little metal dots, very small on right here at the base of their spine, on the top of their neck, and that's for computer access. And we've all been accessing the computers our whole lives, and there's a forbidden technology that comes from a forbidden area that used to be occupied by people that weren't from Earth. Like they came for a visit and then they left, but they left their stuff behind. Well, also it was like under the understanding that this is still our stuff. We're going to come back for it. We put up some protection, so please don't go down there. All right. But then they never ever came back. As far as we're concerned, they're long gone. So they have this thing, their technology, this thing, all you do is you touch it to that spot. It connects to all your computer records for your whole life and can just instantly bring you back to where you are most healthy. It's like a reset for everything. Maybe even your body, actually. But definitely your mind. Completely cures any and all addictions, mental health problems, because it just brings you back to where you were, in perfect health. So these two people, same boat as I'm in, and they take me to a sphere in a broken down section, an abandoned section of the wastelands where we're at, basically the bottom part of a city, right? But then above the ocean. And he says, I think this one will still have defenses because it's been sabotaged. Like, the trip down is like crazy and chaotic. And so there's all these things that hold your body in place to keep you from getting banged to death. And it'd been sabotaged, so you would actually, the things that were there to protect you would actually seriously injure you or kill you or whatever. So he had a series of ropes, so he strung ropes inside this sphere. The guy looked just like Clark Kent too, by the way. One of the guys. The other guy just seemed like a nondescript guy that didn't do much talking. And he said, we string ourselves together in the center of this sphere. It's going to drop us into the ocean. We're going to see, maybe we'll see a defender. And if we do, we have to kill it. And the only way to kill it is there has to be guns on this. And I can't tell if there's guns on it until we drop into the water. But once we drop into the water, we're committed. The reason I think there's a chance there might be guns on this is because this thing looks like a death trap to begin with. So hopefully, as this happened early on, when it realized the dangers of the defenders, and so this would have been abandoned early on. Would have been one of the first things defaced and destroyed. So we drop into the ocean, and immediately there was supposed to be 3 guns. It turns out there's 1. Turns out the gun's right in front of me, and this spectral creature. It looks like a monster that's defined by, its image is defined by electricity. It looks like a moving creature made of electricity. Comes swimming at us, and I just nail it. And right as I nail it, everyone's like, you gotta get the shot off. And they're like, oh, thank God. So the history on these creatures is, and why people stopped going down, and why these artifacts that you could go get that would be miracles, like magic, is because if you didn't kill those things, they would never stop until they killed you. And so you could escape them, you could come back up, and then they're just going to come right up through the city and kill things until they get to you, or they get to the thing that you stole. And so then they'll kill whoever has that, and then they'll take it back. So they're slaughter machines that can only be stopped by very specific equipment. And so the 3 of us drop down. The Clark Kent guy is like, I think that's a medical facility. And like, we're sliding along these underwater tubes, and he's looking in through windows and stuff like that. And then he connects to one, and we hop in there, and sure enough, there's these little things right off the bat. And he's like, once we get to the surface, get to your person, cure them, and then this thing needs to be thrown into the ocean somehow. You don't need to go back down into the tubes. It doesn't need to go into the forbidden civilization or whatever, the ancient civilization. Just throw it in the ocean. As long as it's on the bottom of the ocean floor, one of those defenders is going to find it and take it back. So I take it back, cure my barista, and she's like so amazingly effective. She's like, I just want to go take a walk through the city, and because I haven't seen it in years. Like, I've just been in this drugged out haze. And we go to walk, and so I'm still holding the thing, and someone sees it, and except they're they do work in stolen goods, and they contact me, and they're like, hey, I want to buy that from you. And I'm like, this thing, you have to throw this in the ocean. He's like, oh, I know how this thing works. I'm going to buy that from you, and then I'm basically going to go cure people, while running the risks that at any moment a lightning creature can come shooting up through the floor. But I'm going to do this as fast as possible for most profit as possible, and then I'm going to chuck it in the ocean as fast as possible. He's like, so it's like, I'm totally aware of the risks. I think it's worth it. A lot of people could be saved. You yourself thought this was important enough to risk. So I believe the same thing. And obviously, you're on a walk right now with your girlfriend, so you weren't heading straight to the ocean. And I'm like, good point. We sell it. he gives me a huge amount of money, and I go off and rent an apartment for me and my new coffee girlfriend. I wasn't thinking of her like my girlfriend, though. I was just thinking of her as a person I saved, and we both lived on top of pipes, so why not, you know? And they asked for a year up front, and I had plenty for a year up front. I wasn't actually sure. I'd never had that kind of money before, so I wasn't sure what apartments cost. I'd never rented an apartment my whole life. And they were very happy with my balance, and they're like, "Let me know if you need anything else," you know, like so. We're just hanging out, you know, like eating food. We're explore. I get to see areas that I never got to see before of the underground city. It's all kind of bad, but not too bad. And then this person shows up, the first clean person I've ever seen in my life, and they're like, "Earl, there, can I speak to you in private? Can we step back to your apartment?" And I'm like, "What's this all about?" And they're like, "I have a job for you. I understand that you're specifically skilled in this endeavor, and it'll be worth your while. The payment I'm thinking about for this job will completely lift you out of poverty for the rest of your life. Poverty free, both you and your friend." And I'm like, "Ooh la la." And so we get to my apartment, and they're like, "All right, so I know you've been down to the forbidden city. I know how you went down there. I went and checked. I sent people down in the ball that you used. It turned out that the shot that you took was the last of the ammo on that gun, and it fired an energy, and we don't know what that energy was. So the people that I sent down there, they came back up dead, something like that. But they had a weapon." She's like, "But he had like a shotgun." Anyway, I'm kind of vague on that. Anyway, he's like, "I sent them down there to get an energy cylinder." Now, these energy cylinders would be in pretty much any large machine. They're like batteries for everything. They have batteries for everything mobile. So any single vehicle you see there, anything on tracks, anything not connected to anything else is likely going to have these things. And he described how to get it, how to remove them, how big they are. Gave me a case to carry it in. And he's like, "You might not know what I'm offering you, so I also want to take you to how long? 12 minutes, Jesus. I also want to take you to not to where I live, but to basically the next level up from where you live." Where you could live poverty free for the rest of your life with the amount of money I'm going to give you. Get up there, and it's just like, it's nothing but parks, bright lights, happy people, people doing like massive plays in parks, people playing instruments, people making art, experimenting with machines that take them into the sky, or do all sorts of things. Take you into realms into your mind and project them out for everyone else to see. Just like crazy sci-fi stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, I want to live here," and you can see the sky, So I went down there, back there in that one tube again, knowing that if in between the two things that gun wasn't going to work, and my shotgun would only work if I was outside the sphere. So likely if I got intercepted on the way down, I'd die. So I went down, went in there, got the thing right away. It was easy peasy. And the second I turned around to go back, one of those things came straight through the wall, and it was point blank. Fired the gun. The thing was destroyed. Jump back in the sphere. Go back up to where I was. The guy's immediately waiting for me. Give him the backpack. He immediately pops me the zillion dollars. I start to say, you know about those things, that a thing's going to come for that. And he's like, "I know all about it." He's like, "But this isn't going back. Like, this will have defenses. These things can't break. Like, it'll be behind a barrier. These things can't break, and wave upon wave of them could come, and no one will get killed, and they're not going to take this energy back. And for this, we're going to guarantee a lifetime in that society that you saw. People that live long lives, have all the best of everything, and but just not up where I'm at." And I'm like, "Fair enough. Don't need it." And So he left, and we took the elevator up, and ended up, getting rid of our rags and get some nice white clothing with no dirt on it, and got our own apartments that were like they were like being inside indoor gardens, um, with just beautiful sunlight and plants everywhere, and any kind of machine. You'd have to like kind of like step behind this tree to get to whatever it is. Like the focus was on nature, and all the mechanics were as hidden as possible, as subtle as possible. Like if you had something that you wanted to do on the computer or see or whatever, it would be projected, or it would talk to you, like a person would. And that was the dream.